Well, hello again. Welcome to our reading of the book of Tobit from the Septuagint. And we're up to the very last chapter, chapter 14, which sort of rounds off the entire book and tells us what happens to Tobit and his son and family. Kai sun etelesthesan hoilogoi tes exomologesios Tobit. And the words of the thanksgiving of Tobit, must be a genitive here, were completed. Kai apethenon en irene eton hecaton dodeca, and he died in peace at the age of 112 years. So a very long life. Kai etaphe, and he was buried in doxos honourably, or perhaps gloriously. It's a funny word, it only appears here and in the book of Daniel, this word, in the Septuagint, in Nineveh. Kai hexeconta duo eton en hoti ageneto anaperos tois ophthalmois. And it was 62 years, or he was 62 years of age, when the anaperos, a funny word here, generally means maimed, but here in the sense of injured, with respect to his eyes. Kai meta to anablepsai auton, we get meta plus the articular infinitive, and after he regained his sight, etsesen, he lived en agathois, literally in good things, so perhaps in prosperity, kai elea mosunes epoiesen. So remember, he was always making alms giving, so he was continued to give money to the poor, the alms giving. Kai eti pros etheto eulogan ton theon. This prostithomai is used in the Septuagint in a very special way. It's an intensitive. The Hebrew verb has an intensitive form, and it's often rendered into Greek by this use of prostithomai. So he increased still further. Literally, he added still further. So he increased even more to bless God and to give thanks for the megalosune to Theou, for the greatness of God. Kai hote apethnesken ekalesen tobian ton huion autu, kai entela to autoi legon. This is what he's going to say. And when he died, he called Tobias his son, and he enjoined upon him, he gave orders to him, saying, and now we get his instructions. Paidion ap egege ta paidia su kai apotreke es median. Hoti pistuo ego to remati tu theou epi ninawe ha elelesen naum. So he said, my boy, apaga, lead away your children and run off into Media, literally from apotreko, so treko to run, so make haste almost to Media, because I believe in the word of God against Nineveh. This will be in a dative, but it doesn't decline, which Nahum said. Now this, of course, is the prophet Nahum. In particular, if you look at Nahum 3:7 and 2:8-10, chapter 13, 10 and 13, chapter 3:18-19, you get Nahum's prophecy against Nineveh. Interestingly, the Vulgate here has Jonah rather than Nahum. Hoti, that, panta estai is a funny expression here. Literally, all things will be. In other things, all things will come to pass. Kai ap antese and epi Arthur kai Nineveh, and it will befall. That's the apantese epi. It will meet with, so it will befall. Athor here is Ashur, which is another name for Assyria, and Nineveh. Kai Hossa, and as many things as the prophets of Israel said, whom God sent, Panta apantesa, all things will befall them. Kai u may then for may den. We've seen u then, and then we get may then here because of the fact that delta and theta were being pronounced by the stage almost exactly the same, and so you often get this theta for delta in writing here. Kai may then elatonothe ekpanton tone aramatone. Now this is a funny word here. Elatonoo is the verb. It's probably a neologism. It doesn't occur before the Septuagint. It means to become less, so to diminish. And nothing of all those words will be diminished. Well, it might be diminished. It's a aorist subjunctive here. So perhaps let none of these words be diminished, and all things sumbesatai will take place, tois kairos auton, in their due season. And there will be soteria, safety in Media, more than in Assyria and in Babylon. Dio Gnosco ego kai pistuo hoti panta, for which reason I know, and it's emphatic, and I believe that all things which God has said, son telesthesatai, will be fulfilled, and estai will be, so will come to pass perhaps here. Kai ume dia pese, and in no way will a rama ectone logon, well, a word from the words from the statements. Rama can mean a thing or a word in the Septuagint. Etymologically it's connected with lego. It's from that same root as the aorist passive from lego, but it also is often used as a thing as well. And diapipto is to fall away and hence perish, so, and nor will the word from these accounts perish. Kai hoiadelphoi hemon, and our brothers, those who are dwelling in the land of Israel, pantes, all of them, diascorpis thesontai, they will be scattered. Kai eich melotis thesontai, future passive here, and they will be put into exile. They will become they will go into exile from from this good land. They will go into captivity is the word I was looking for. Eichmelotes. It's a lovely word. Eichmelotes it's from eichme, meaning a spear, and the hallow here is connected with that root of hierio, taken. So those taken by the spear become captive. So they will go into captivity from the good land. Kaiestai pasage to Israel eremos is the next part of it, and all of the land of Israel will be eremos, desolate. Eremos. Kai Samaria, Kai Hierosulem, and Samaria and Jerusalem will be desolate, and the house of God will be understood literally in grief. And Kai Kauthesatai, it will be burnt, Mekri Chronu, for a time. Kai palin eliese autus Hathios, and again God will have mercy upon them, and God will turn them, perhaps return them back into the land of Israel. And again they will build the house, and not like the first one. Funny little bit here. Here's to Chronu, who an plerothe hochronos ton chiron. Not as the first one, but it's literally until the time when the time of the seasons has been completed. So perhaps translate not as at first, not until the time of fulfillment comes. So literally not like the first house, until the time when the time of seasons might be fulfilled. Kai meta tauta, and after these things, epistrepsus in ectes aikmelosias, it's the abstract noun from the verb we've just had, and after these things they will return from their captivity, so all of them, and they will build Jerusalem entimos gloriously, and the house of God will be built in it, just as the prophets of Israel said regarding it, that is, regarding Jerusalem. Kai panta ta ethne ta en holetege, and all the races, or perhaps all the Gentiles, the ones in the whole land, all of them, epistrepsusi, all will turn, and they will fear God, alethinos, truly. And pantes, all of them, aphesusi from aphiami, will put aside, so put away from themselves, ta idola auton, their idols, tus de planontes pseude ten planes in auton. Greek and Hebrew loves to use these connected verbal and noun roots. So the wanderings, those wandering in their false wandering, literally. So this is the Gentiles. So those who wander in their false wandering, with the abstract noun here. And they will bless God of the world in righteousness. Ion can mean age, or it can also mean the world. So they will bless the God of the world, perhaps here, with righteousness, and all the sons of Israel, those who have been saved in those days, will call to mind God in truth. Episonachthes, until they will be gathered together, and they will come into Jerusalem, and they will build the Iona. This is an odd expression here. Literally, they will build the age in the land of Abraham, meta asphaleos, with safety, and it will be given to them. Very odd use of Iona here. It's not quite sure what it means here. They will build perhaps forever. It might be short for Eston Iona. Not quite sure what that means here. Kai kareson tai hoi agapontes, and those loving God will rejoice in truth, and those who are literally making sin, so those that are sinning and who are doing unrighteousness, eklepsusin, they will disappear from all the earth. So we get this sort of almost apocalyptic ending to this, that everything is going to turn out wonderfully after the days of captivity. And now, Paideia, children, I, Entelemai, I give instruction to you. Serve God with truth, and do what is pleasing before him, and en hupotegesetai, and to your children, I think this is impersonal here, it will be made subject to your children. In other words, your children will be required, poiein, to do righteousness and to show mercy or give alms, and in order that they might be mindful of God and bless his name in all time in truth, kai hole, and with all te iske, our tone, with all their strength. Kai nun su, and now you, my child, ex elthe, go out from Nineveh, and do not remain hodi here. And on the day in which you might bury your mother with me, on that day do not dwell in the borders of it, that is, of Nineveh. Horoga hoti, for I see that there is pole adikia, much wickedness in it, that is, in Nineveh. Kai dolos polis, and much guile is being fulfilled in it, and they are not ashamed. Ide Paideon, behold, my child, hosa nadab epoiesen akikaroi to en threpsanti auton. Now I've had this reference to this Akikar and Nadav before, and it's again taken from this story of Akikar, and this Nadav was reared by Akikar, and he eventually tried to have him murdered by convincing the king that he was up to no good. Akikar manages to survive that, goes into hiding until eventually the king regrets having killed him, only to discover that he hasn't killed him at all, and he goes off to Egypt. So this Nadav here was a bad person. So behold, my child, as many things as Nadav did to Akikar, the one who brought him up. Ukitson kat enenke es tengains, very odd little section here. So it's a question. So did he not literally carry him down into the earth while still alive? Literally place him alive into the earth. So perhaps was he not in a living grave, because Akikar had to remain hidden and pretend that he had been killed, in fact. Kai, and God gave in return the dishonour, so paid him back for his dishonour to his face. Kai ex aelthen, that's Nadav is referring to, and he sent Akikaros into the light, but Nadav he sent into the darkness. Notice we get a sort of nice balance here. Ex aelthen es tophos, ex aelthen ex skotos. Into the darkness to Ionis, well, forever, or of the age, so forever. Etzetesen, he sought to kill Achikara, or Achikaros. En to poiesi elamosunein ex aelthen ectes pagidos to thanatu. So this is a funny expression here. It's the one who's giving the free gifts and the acts of mercy and the almsgiving is in fact Tobit. So it may be something like it's because I gave alms. So it's literally in the understand me to make almsgiving. So because I was giving alms, exaelthen, he, this must be Achikar, he came out from the snare of death, which Nadav, Epaksen auto, had set for him. This is from Pag Numi. It means to fix, but it's often used of a snare or trap, to set a trap. So which Nadav had set for him. And Nadav fell into the snare of death. And, well, perhaps it destroyed him, or perhaps he, God, destroyed him. And now, my child, idete tipoie eliemosune. Behold what almsgiving does. So see what comes of almsgiving. Kai tipoie adikia, and what thing unrighteousness does. By contrast, because apoktene, it kills. That is, unrighteousness kills. And behold, my life, eklepe, is running out. And they placed him on the bed, and he died, and he was buried with honour. Kai hoti epethenon hemete autu, and when his mother died, Tobias buried her with his father. Kai epelthen autos kai hegune autu, and he himself and his wife departed into Media, and they dwelt in Ecbatana with Ragulos. This is the father-in-law, when it says to Penthro autu, his father-in-law. Kai egera boskesen, and he looked after him, he nourished him in his old age. This contains that ger root of old age, and boskio is to tend or look after. This is only here in the Septuagint, this word. So he looked after them in his old age honourably, and he buried them in Ecbatana of Media, and he inherited the house of Ragul and of Tobit his father. So he inherits both houses. Kai epethanen eton, and he died. Now, how old was he? Hecaton deca hepta endoxes, so 117. So he died honourably. And Kai Aden, and he saw and he heard before his death of the destruction of Nineveh, and he saw the Melosia, that's that word we had before, the captivity, and its captivity as it was taken down into Media, i.e. the people in it were led down into Media. The captivity which, now Achiakaros, this is Cyaxares, the Median king. The other version of this above has Nebuchadnezzar and Xerxes, but here we get the Achiakaros, not to be confused with the guy we just had before. This is referring to Cyaxares. Nineveh was brought to an end by the combined armies of the Medes and Neo-Babylonians. This began in 614, but not completed till 612. At the time, the king of the Medes was Cyaxares, and the king of Babylon was Nabopolassar, 625 to 605. So the captivity which Cyaxares, the king of Media, king of the Medes, sent into captivity, and he blessed God in passing in all things, hois epoiesin epitois Nineveh Kaya Surya, and in all the things which he, that is God, did against the sons of Nineveh and Athorias, this is Assyria. Ekere prin tu apathenein epi Nineveh, and he rejoiced before he died over Nineveh, and he blessed God, estus ionas ton ionon, literally to the age of the age, so forever. And that is the end of the book of Tobit.